Neil, you have said that in terms of becoming an astrophysicist, the universe called you. You knew from a young age that this is what you wanted to do. You jumped through all these academic hoops to do it. You became an astrophysicist. You wrote papers on dwarf galaxies and observing techniques and carbon stars. But what I really want to know is what called you. What makes you so good at explaining science? And I'm asking you because I feel like I get asked this by, like, a lot of scientists wish they were good at explaining science, and especially right now, we're in this time where scientists, I think, are coming to like this, should have dawned on them a little earlier, perhaps, but that they need to be talking to the public and explaining science better, and they want to know how, and they don't know how. So, do you have any tips for your colleagues?
So, just a couple of insights. I just want to know. There's a girl over there. How old are you? You're 9. That's how old I was when I first visited the Hayden Planetarium. And the lights dimmed. I grew up in the Bronx. And I'd seen the night sky from the Bronx. It has a dozen stars in it. Plus or minus. And then I go to the Hayden Planetarium and they dim the lights and the stars come out and I thought it was a hoax. Had to be. There aren't that many stars in the night sky. I've seen them from the Bronx. But in that moment, realizing that the universe was far more vast than anything I had dreamt of, left me starstruck. And I committed my life since then to just learning about the universe. In age 11 and 12, I learned the word astrophysics, and then I had the answer to that annoying question grown-ups always ask kids. What do you want to be when you grow up? I would just say astrophysicist. It kind of that took care of that right there. My influences at the time were the educational staff and the scientific staff of the Hayden Planetarium. And I remembered thinking, wow, these educators have such facility with words and ideas, and they will speak, and then you want them to keep speaking because you want to learn more about whatever it is they're talking about. And I said to myself, if I'm ever an educator, that's the kind of educator I want to be. And then the scientists, they just knew so much, depth and breadth of the universe. And I said, if I'm ever a scientist, I want the command of the subject the way they have it. So this was the beginning of my stitching together, stapling together of an amalgamated role model. No one individual served that for me. It was pieces of various other people, which is it gives you protection later on in case one of them gets busted for drugs or something. You don't care, or you just care about the little slice of them that you respect. So now I wouldn't necessarily know how to do that, but I knew that was a goal state if I was ever put in that position. And I can tell you what is kind of hard-earned over all the years, contrary to some people who say, oh, you're just a natural. Have you asked me how hard I've worked? Can we have that conversation before you assert that what I'm exhibiting is just something that comes naturally? My first interview on Jon Stewart, I saw he was one of these guests here.
Yes, he was a time star.
My first interview on The Daily Show, I studied how many seconds he let his guests speak before he interrupted them. And I got the rhythm of that. And I said, if I ever go on his show, I will parcel my cosmic knowledge in these bits so that I will complete a thought before he interrupts. And that way, when he interrupts, there's a complete thought, and then we can laugh at whatever joke he makes. So that there's a stable trajectory through that interview. I did this, okay?
That's good. Yeah,
okay.
That's a good tip.
Wait, one more. Okay, so first time I'm on the evening news. It was 1995. The first exoplanet had been discovered, a planet orbiting another star. And that was banner headlines. So they sent a camera to the Hayden Planetarium. It was my first year as director. In fact, at the time I was interim director. And they didn't know me from it. What?
Was this before or after you banished Pluto? I just want.
Oh, yeah.
Pluto.
She's
Sorry,
picking a fight
I had
now
to
about
mention
Pluto.
Pluto.
Yeah, the Pluto incident came later.
Okay.
So nobody knows me from anything. The NBC sent the camera just to interview the director, who was me. So I give them my best professorial. It's 3 in the afternoon. This is for the evening news. So they say, how did we discover this? I give my best professorial reply. I said it's the Doppler shift, and planets don't orbit their host stars. The planet and the host star orbit a common center of gravity, which is not centered in the center of the star. So while the planet does this, which you can't see, it's too dim, the host star does this. It kind of jiggles like that. So I'm describing all of this. And I went home, called everybody, Mom, Pop, go watch on the evening news. I go home, and I watched the evening news, and all they had of me was me doing this. So I said, oh, they don't want my professorial reply. They want a sound bite. And I said, I will never be sound bitten again. I'm going to hand them a sound bite that will fit in their time slot. So I went home and practiced. You know, you look in the mirror, you get someone that's like, bark out anything in the universe, idea, place, thing. You know, Saturn's rings, black holes, Big Bang. You just say it, and I practice 3-sentence replies, ideally. It's got to be interesting, informative, and maybe make you smile enough to want to tell someone else the anatomy of a soundbite. And so I practiced that. So then next time they came, I just handed them sound bites. And they didn't have to edit a thing. And they kept coming back, I came to learn. And so I'm tasked with serving a curiosity. The least I could do is invest some of my brain power and emotional power to do as good a job as I can. And today, I've learned even more, especially through my radio show, Star Talk, which jumped species and is now on television. First ever science-based talk show on television, ever. It wasn't on purpose, it just landed that way. So I figured this out. I mean, I figured out before I looked back and said, oh, was that what I was doing? You come to the table with a pop culture scaffold. You know who Beyonce is, typically. You know who the president is. You know what football is. You know, there are things you just know.
You know she's having twins, and you name them
on Twitter. I try to name Beyonce's twins, but I'll get to that in a minute.
With astronomical.
So what I found was everyone comes with this scaffold. And you are an expert in that scaffold. That's the definition of pop culture, okay? Now, I realized that since science is everywhere, I can attach the science that I'm trying to teach to that scaffold. And if you do that, they're already halfway there. And but that takes a huge investment of my time learning the pop culture that would be the common denominator of everyone. So I got to watch the #1 show, got to watch a few episodes of Game of Thrones, got to see the Super Bowl, all the things that define America. I got to sort of get in the middle of that. And that helps, and that arms my utility belt in every occasion where I want to convey meaning and scientific concepts and ideas. And if I have a scientific concept and idea that is fundamentally mind-blowing without any assistance, then I just put it out there, because it'll blow your mind without any reference to pop culture at all. And that's kind of the combination of things that are in the book.
Yeah. Well, I didn't actually think you would give tips. That was a really good answer also.